Hey Diane, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a weird day here in Connecticut. That Hurricane Debbie is coming up, but it's coming up like on top of us, like more north. So we're just getting like little remnants or whatever, and it's like really windy and moist and humid and yucky. But it's a perfect day to be inside to work on some things. So I'm glad to be here with you. Um, Last weekend, at this very moment, I was teaching pants fitting. We had a really nice time, and my class did really well. They got so much stuff done, and it was just an incredible weekend. And then I spent an additional day working with one student to teach her pattern grading. And I'm also super excited about that because I hadn't really updated my software. I was just using the version of the eTelestia pattern grading software that I'd been working with. And when I saw her version, which was the new version, there were so many more cool features in there. So I'm going to update my software so I can take advantage of all those new features in pattern grading, which I think is very cool because, as you know, I am going to put it in gear, meaning my pattern rebrand. And part of the rebranding is I need to grade up all of my patterns to size 32. So I'm excited about that. Hey, Michelle and Mary, welcome. Oh, I have color. This is my t-shirt version of this. I have two different things I wear with this fabric. One is my maxi dress I made from my T pattern with the little cap sleeve, and then this is just my t-shirt that I made. So I decided to throw it on. I do want to tell everybody, if you are looking for fabric, I left Fabric Mart's link in the description below because they're having a 47-year anniversary sale and everything is 60% off. And then if you spend $75, you get bonus stash cash points. So of course I went on Fabric Mart and I bought a bunch of things, but Mary, you're gonna be sad to hear that they're almost all black or gray. I want to make some staples to wear bright colors with, so I bought a few suiting fabrics to make black trousers so I can wear a bright color on top. And I bought a few sweater knits and different things, but I found a lot of really cool stuff. So if anybody needs more fabric, head over to Fabric Mart and send them some love for their 47-year anniversary of being in business. I think that's pretty cool. And oh, hi Judy, welcome. All right, so today what I want to do here is I want to finish up my tucked top that I started. And what I did was I put it on and I kind of marked a very shallow shirt tail hem so it dips up at the side seams just a little bit. And I wore it to dinner Thursday night last week when I went out to dinner with some of my students who arrived a day early because I wanted to test wear it. So I literally wore it with the serged edge, that I used the differential feed to straighten out all the gathered parts. And then I was going to put some vents on the side because when I sat down in it, it got really rumpled up because it's linen. But I decided I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make the side seams a little shorter, and hopefully that'll help it lay nicer in my lap when I'm sitting and driving and doing those kinds of things. So let me just show you here. I'm going to switch my view. Oh, well, let me see if I can make a little bit. I'm going to make it a little brighter. Hold on. Oops, not that bright. Okay. Make it a little brighter. So I have my little long rule. Let me move that out of the way. And I just want to show you what I did here. All right, so let's just turn this right side out. So if you're working on something like this and you decide later, like after the fact that you want to create a shirt tail hem, I just want to show you how I did that. I basically, I'm going to move me over here. All right, so what I did was I basically folded it in half so I could line up my side seams like this. Okay, and then I made sure that the armhole end of the side seam matched, and I just got it down like this. And then what I did was I sort of drew in my shape, and then I tried it on before I cut it. So that's how I created the shape. First I drew it with a chalk, and then I tried it on to see if I liked where the line was, and then I cut it. So I have this very gentle shirt-tailed hem. It's not super obvious when I'm wearing it. I was going to go up higher at the sides and just make it more curved, but I decided that this is like a nice, you know, a nice shape. So I've got this hem now, and if I put it flat with the front facing, okay, it just kind of looks like this. So the important thing is you want to have some straight at your center front so it doesn't look like it comes down into a V. So I did a little bit of a straightaway, and then you can see it scoops up just a little bit. It's very subtle. Hey, Victoria, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so I am going to finish the neckline and the armholes with a piece of bias linen, and I'm going to sew it on just, you know, just on the very bottom edge of the serge seam. So if I put this really close, you can see, and then make it really sharp so you can see, and maybe even lighten it up a couple notches here. You can see that the edge has a 3/8 inch serged edge, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew a little bias strip around, and then I'm going to turn the whole thing to the inside so it creates a mini facing. And then I'm going to stitch it down and trim off the extra. So that's how I'm going to finish the armhole and neckline. So for the hem, we had talked about, you know, different ways to hem it. And after I washed out all the starch that I put in there to make the pleats, I realized it's much softer now. So I'm going to create a facing, and what I'm going to do here is I'm literally going to fold it in half like I had it before, and that way I can create a front and back facing right on the garment, because my paper pattern doesn't have this shape. So I'm going to just create it right on here, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And part of what's going to help me keep everything nice and even and straight is the fact that I'm working on my magnetic Sew Tights cutting board. Keep trying to decide where the best place to put me is. I'm going to move me over here. All right, I'm just going to move myself over there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure my side seams are matching exactly. And then I'm going to put a Sew Tight along here just to keep that laying correct, right? And then I'm going to make sure this is all nice and straight and that my edges are actually matching up exactly. And then I'm just going to put some Sew Tight weights along the garment like that, just to hold that down. And then I'm going to use a really lightweight piece of tracing paper. I'm not going to use my heavy gridded pattern paper for this. I'm going to use my, basically this is like exam paper, tracing paper. I'm going to use this because it's kind of see-through. Oh, Seamstress from the Cottage says, hi everyone. Oh, Jen, I think this is still one of my most favorite items you've made. I really like this. I feel like I don't do a lot of fancy dancy stuff or, you know, different details like this, but I do really like this, all the pleats and everything. It came out really kind of cool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay this down, and then I can put the Sew Tights right on it to keep it honest. And what I'm going to do here is I'm literally going to create a facing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pen, and because it's got the edge that I can see through the tracing paper, I'm just going to trace here. So you can see I'm just very carefully tracing along my edge. And it's kind of bumped up because it's a double layer of fabric, which makes it really easy to follow, like this. And here's my center fold is right there. Okay, so this is my center front, and then this is my side seam right there. So you can see I've kind of drawn the shape of the front facing. So I'm going to just put that aside for a minute, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm going to do the back now. So again, I'm going to line it up so I can do the back. Let me just going to move it over a little bit here. Now the back is easier to keep track of, and actually I don't have to fold the back in half because I have a center back seam, so I can just leave it flat. And I'm going to have to sew my side seams at the very bottom, came unsewn when I cut my hem. So I'm just going to put a pin here for now just to keep that from, if I can find my pins, there they are. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna pin this here just to hold it, and then I'll sew it, and then I'll sew it flat. Hey Sylvia, welcome. I'm making facing for my facing pieces for my tucked top that I made. So again, I'm gonna just cut myself a little piece of paper. All right. So again, I'm just going to use my Sew Tights to hold everything flat for me. Oops. I'll just make sure I've got this laying nice. I'm just going to put this here. And I'm basically going to just make some, I'm just making these basic pattern pieces. And you'll notice I'm not taking that pin out now that it's flat. I'm not going to finish the pattern pieces with them on here. I'm just going to trace the side seam, center back, and then I'm going to do the width of it after. So again, here's my side seam, and I'm just going to trace along the edge like this. I mean, ideally you would have a paper pattern that has a shirt tail hem, but I didn't transfer this detail to my paper pattern. So, all right, so now you can see I've got this is my side seam, and this is my center back. All right, so now I can work with these things. I'm just going to move this out of the way for now. All right, so this is my center back, and it's way too light. Oh, thank you, Beth. Beth says that the top I'm wearing is so pretty on me. This is a ITY knit that I got at Fabric Mart several years ago now. And, it's really one of my favorite prints. You know what I mean? So it is one of my favorites. All right, so now that I have the traced edge of my facing, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a nice, ruler treatment, meaning I'm going to use my ruler to make a nice shape like this. All right, so I've got that. Okay, so I've got a nice shape. And then I'm going to just make my straight edges. And I'm going to make this facing probably maybe an inch. So it's going to be an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to just measure up an inch. And you can see here, this is not a perfect angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make it straighter because I have a feeling that it really needs to be a 90-degree angle here. And I'll fix that when I test it. So I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use the 90-degree angle there. Let me get a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm basically going to just give myself an inch all the way across like this. Okay, so you can see, just making an inch. And you can see it's a very subtle shape. Because remember, I made the shirt tail hem. So you can see it does dip up a little bit, but it's very subtle. So this is going to be my side seam. This is going to be my center back. And I think what I'm going to do, just to keep it simple for this top, I'm going to clean finish my edges on the top, and then I'm going to sew it on. Now, I want a finished inch. So I just realized if I want a finished inch, I'm going to be stitching it at 3/8 here, you know, something like that. So I really need to make it an inch and 3/8. So that was my first, I don't want to say boo-boo, but I wasn't thinking that completely through. So let me just add the seam allowance. So I'm going to just go with, I'm going to add that 3/8 for an allowance. I'm not going to turn the top edge under though, just the, you know, just the, I'm just going to clean finish it on the serger. I don't want it to be bulky because, you know, it's a lightweight linen. So again, I'm just adding that 3/8 of an inch back in. All right, so this is my back facing. Well, no, Mary, that's why I added, my seam allowance is going to be 3/8 of an inch down here. So I added 3/8 of an inch, so I have an inch. That was a boo-boo, but I caught myself, so yay. So that's my back facing. And then I also need a seam allowance here. I'm going to give myself 1/2 inch on both sides here. Maybe that's the seam allowance you were talking about, but I want to have an inch to sew it. So you can see here, I'm gonna just, this is my center back seam allowance, and this is going to be my side seam allowance right here. All right, and then that's my completed, that is my completed facing. You know, and if I wanted to, I could connect this. I don't know that I really need to, but you know, just to connect those dashes. All right, so that's that one. And then my front one, we'll just do this one automatically. We will make this one 1 3/8, so I have my seam allowance. So again, I'm just gonna smooth out my line using my French curve. So it's, any little bobble will be nice and smooth. All right, and then I'm gonna do 1 3/8. Oops. Let me turn it this way so I can get my grid here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do 1 3/8 all the way across. Like this. All right, and then here's my side seam. Okay. All right, so this is my facing for the front. And then again, this includes a 3/8 inch seam allowance here, and then I'm going to add my 1/2 inch here. I'm going to add my 1/2 inch over here. All right, and then I'm going to cut these out. Now, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so this is going to be cut on fold. This one's cut on fold because there's no center front. And then this will be the side seam over here. All right, front facing. All right, so I'm going to cut these out. And you know, and then a fun fact, I don't know if you guys remember when I shared these rotary cutting blades on a Cool Tool. This is still the blade I'm only using. I haven't changed my blade since I shared these blades. These blades work really, really well. So if you need replacement blades for your serger, you know, go check my Cool Tools. It was $16 for 15 of these, and they're very sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Oh, you know what? I might not have a piece of fabric big enough. All right, wait a minute. I might not have a piece of fabric big enough to cut my front out on the fold. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have to have a seam. So actually, I'm just going to put back this for now, the seam allowance. So we'll look and see what my scraps are. My scraps are pretty small. Okay. Okay, so here is my front cut out, and here's my back. Okay. Now, of course, before we cut these out of fabric, I want to test them on the fabric. I'm going to see if they fit on my fabric too. So I'm going to bring back my shirt, my little top here. And I just want to make sure that this is going to work out nicely. So we're just going to lay it on here and see if we like it. So again, I'm going to... So this is my front facing. So let's just test it and see if we like the shape before we cut out the before we cut out the fabric. All right, so let's see here. So I'm gonna pin this right here. Whoops. And actually I don't have to pin it because I can use my little sew tights to hold it. So let's just see if this is in agreement. All right, so you can see, I feel like this is a really good match in terms of the shape. I'm gonna move me over here again, sorry. So see, that matches. And then I'm just gonna put a pin where the seam would be. So this is where the center front seam would be, and then I'm going to flip it to see if it matches across to the other side, just to be sure. So now I'm going to put my center front right where the pin is, like this. Let's just walk it across and see. All right, so that's interesting. The facing is a little bit too long, and it's about a ½ an inch too long in total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to make sure that it's going to work. So let me just double check here. Let me just line it up with this side seam. I think that's funny how like stuff happens. All right, so it's going right. All right, so I'm gonna. All right, so this is. So technically the center of my thing is right here. So I'm finding the middle between my two center pleats right here. Okay, so I'm going to just fold that back, and let's see if I do that, if that's going to make it match. Let's see. Just going to stick that there. All right, now let's try it again. So I want to make sure it matches. So I'm going to put the fold right here. Oops, like this. And let's check it. Check it. Oh, now, okay, so now we're spot on. All right, so I just have to trim off. All right, so I'm going to use a different color here. So my actual center is right here. So I'm just fixing it and making it match. Can we see? Oops. Okay, so from here we'll put a ½ an inch. So now I know my front matches. So I'm going to cut that off. It was a little bit too long. So I'm glad I verified. Let's just cut that right off. All right, so my front is good, and let me just verify that my back is good. I feel like the back would be more accurate because, again, I have the actual center back seam. Hey, RT Blades, welcome. I'm showing how to make a facing to finish a hem, and basically I traced the edge, and now I'm double checking my pattern piece. That's what I'm doing now. So I've got my center back lined up at my center back. I'm just going to get it laying nice here. So my center back is matching my center back, and I'm just going to lay it right over here. Okay, so I would say it's about almost an, oops, I'm kind of off the camera. It's almost about, well, no, I think it's perfect. All right, so that matches. And the thing that I'm really liking is the edge matches the edge. So this matches this way. Hey, Diane, welcome. And then I'm just going to check the other side to be safe. So let's just now put it upside down. So again, I'm going to put it on the side seam here, and I'm going to use my Sew Tight to hold it. And then let's just make sure it matches. Yeah, and I think we're going to be good. So it matches here too. So now I know my pattern pieces match. So yay. So now I'm going to cut out. Let me look at my piece I have. Oh, I might, you know what? I might have a piece that's big enough. Wait a minute. Actually, this piece right here I think is long enough. So let's, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look up close here because I don't have a grain line now to line anything up, or I don't have a salvage edge. So I am just going to find my the grain here. I'm going to find the center of this piece basically like this, somewhere right here, and I'm just going to chalk in what looks like the center grain line. I'm going to try to line up the grain of the linen, make a little line here like that, so that's straight on grain. And now what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to fold it in half, and I'm going to press it. because if I don't have to have a center front seam, I really don't want one. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half right on that line I drew. I mean, right on the line. Just going to give it a little press with my iron. So everything is straight. Okay. And then let's see if I can fit, because if I can fit it on the fold, I'd rather do that. Now, of course, it looks like it's not folded any which way. All right, Tana says, good afternoon, everyone. Took a break from my sewing dresses for Dress a Girl, an opportunity to experiment with my ruffler attachment. Tana, what is Dress a Girl? Is that a charity sewing opportunity? Let us know. Victoria said I would interface those facings so I could use them again. Oh, are you talking about these, Victoria? Well, here's the issue though. These facings are a one-time opportunity unless I take the time to transfer the exact shape of my hem on my paper pattern, because my paper pattern has a straight hem, so I don't know that I would use these again because I didn't make a shirt tail hem on my paper pattern. Oh, this is the front. Let's see if it's going to fit. Oh, look, and of course it's not going to fit. So close though. Ugh. So close. Let me see, what do I have here? Oh, that's my shirt. This piece is not, no. All right, so I'm going to have a center back seam. So that would be the fact of the matter here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of these out. I was hoping to have enough. And I'm just going to put my center front on the grain like this. So my center front is on the straight of the grain, and then I'm just going to let it do this. So I'm just going to lay it like that. And again, another reason why I love my little So Tight magnetic cutting board, because this will give me the perfect opportunity to hold that really nicely. And then I'm going to use my embroidery cutter. I'm just going to carefully cut out my facings. These are teeny tiny. Now, sometimes I would actually, sometimes I would interface my facings, but I don't want this to be stiff, so I am not going to interface these little facings. Oh, Tana says, yes, Dress a Girl is a charity sewing event, very popular on YouTube. We've been doing it for a few years. That's very cool. If you want to share a link, or I can look it up later and put it, that's cool. If anybody wants to do that, I can share that link. I like stuff like that. I spent a Wednesday of a couple of months ago now making little boy pants to go to India, because they had a lot of girl things and they didn't have enough boy things. All right, so see what I'm doing here is I'm gonna turn my facing upside down so I can then cut out the other side. And I think I'll have enough room to also cut out these pieces on here. These are flatter. The back isn't as curvy, so I should have plenty of real estate to cut these out as well. See, I'll be able to cut out those as well. So I'm going to cut these out, and then I'm going to sew them together. All right. just cut this. The air is so heavy here. I almost feel like it's impending doom. Like if the heaven is going to open up and pour on us any second. That's how it kind of feels in my whole studio here. All right, look at, I've got my 2 pieces. So I've got this one. And I've got this one. And this is going to be my, so I can put them together like this, right? So I'm going to sew them together at center front right here. So let's just clip those together so I remember that's where I'm going to be sewing. Use a little wonder clip here. All right, so those are aside. Now let's do the back pieces. Okay. So again, I'm going to put center back on the straight of grain. See if I can get it like right here. Okay, oops. Like this. Okay. Okay. These little booster magnets are so narrow. They're perfect for weighing down something that's also very narrow. Okay, so there's one back. Just gonna move that over here. This is my center front. I mean, my center back is right here, so I'm gonna put a clip there so I remember that's my center back. And then let's flip over the pattern piece and get this last one. Ooh, I hope I can. Here, I'm going to turn it this way. I don't think it matters which way I I'm going to put it like this. All right. Hey, Janie, welcome. I'm making facings for my tucked top. Okay. Okay, excellent. Now, this is my center back. So I'm gonna put it like this, make sure it's all matchy-matchy. Oops, like this. Okay, so those match perfectly, so now we're gonna sew. Victoria said, just rain from Debbie here in Virginia. Some areas with some flooding, but it always happens on the coast. Debbie is going to affect your area. I know it's coming now. I always get a kick out of our little storm tracker. Tornado watch has been issued for Hartford and Litchfield County until 10 p.m. I'm in Hartford County. That's so exciting. But I do like, let me just show you. Like I do look at my little map. See, so it'll show me like what's happening. See, I'm right in this little blue dot right here. So It's not currently raining, but like, look at oh, it's coming. So I'll be done streaming. So if it starts to get really windy, at least we won't lose I won't lose internet while I'm on the thing here. All right, let's sew these together now. This is exciting. So first I'm going to sew the center front and center back, and then I'm going to sew the side seams, and then I'm going to finish the top edges, and then I'm just putting my Sew Tights back on its little metal easel so I don't lose them. I'm going to move this out of the way now. Okay, so I've got my machine right here. Okay. I brought my machine for students to use in my pants fitting class this weekend. And it kept getting unthreaded, so I think I need to bring it in for service. So I will be bringing it to get a service, little service job on Tuesday. Okay. These were the gift bags that I gave for the event. Okay. All right, let's see here. All right, I'm just gonna plug this in. We're gonna do a little sewing here. Okay. I need to get my thread. Thread. Okay, I'm going to use this color thread. All right, now I can definitely move me over. Oh, you love my enthusiasm? Well, I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I'm feeling very grateful, and I'm feeling very happy that I just have so many sewers who follow along with me, and you know, I get emails and questions, and I get comments on my YouTube, and people take my classes. So I think I'm just feeling a whole ton of gratitude, to be honest with you. So I didn't do a cool tool on these Kai scissors, but these are my 11-inch Kai scissors, and I think I need to get used to them because they require no muscle power to open and shut them. So they almost whisper open and whisper shut. And I actually made a boo-boo when I was hemming my daughter Abby's new boyfriend's pants for a wedding. I set them down and they literally whispered shut, and I made a V-shaped cut in the back of his pants right on the crease. So these are I have to practice with them scissors because they almost just open and close too easily for me. They're very, very nice, and they're very, very quiet, and they're very, very sharp, but they feel slippery to me in terms of how they open and shut. So I'm using them very limitedly until I get used to them. All right. So now let's see if we can do a little sewing here. The first thing I'm going to do, let's see if we can zoom in on the sewing part. Okay, so I am going to just use my 1/2 inch seam allowance. And actually I'm going to put a pin in here so it can stay pinned together evenly. Half an inch. Okay, then I'm going to sew these at a 1/2 inch as well. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to lay right sides together like this, and I'm going to sew the side seam edges, and then we're going to press all of these edges open. I'm just making sure I'm sewing them the right way. All right, so that's right. So, all right, let's put a little 1/2 inch here. All right, and then one last seam, and then I'm going to press these seam allowances open, and then I'm going to serge the entire top edge so it's finished before I sew it to the hem edge. Okay, so let's just stitch this. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to sub out my sewing machine for the pressing surface for 1 second. So I'll put this down. I'm going to pick this up. Oh, okay, before I press this, I want to show you one other thing. Oh, hey, Marthann, you have a hard time with facing, so you're glad you're doing I'm doing this. Oh, I'm glad you're watching. I want to just show you something. I got this lovely note in the mail from Agnes. She's one of the, she's in my, she's in our Facebook group, and she was making her pants out of that Discovery fabric, sort of a tech fabric. And this is the fabric she was working with. And it is a very cool fabric. This has like a brushed inside, and then it's got a smooth, slick outside. And this fabric is Adventure Stretch Woven. She used a Microtex needle with no luck with the Seriflex thread. So I'm going to try the Seriflex thread on here later to see if I can sew with it. But I'm considering ordering some of these fabrics from Discovery Fabrics to make some more things to hike in. So I'm just so grateful she sent me these swatches, because this website does not give you swatches. So I thought I'd share them with you too. So this is the stretch woven. This is the Surfer stretch woven. And the difference is this is the same face on both sides. And it just has a nice, I would say a mechanical stretch here. I wouldn't say it's got a percentage of stretch. And it seems like it's got more cross stretch and very little in the vertical direction. This one is the Weave stretch woven. This is more stretchy. This is a 4-way stretch. So the Weave stretch woven is 4-way stretch, a little bit stretchier than the Surfer stretch. This is a microfiber stretch, and this one has less stretch. This just has a little mechanical stretch in both directions. But they have a nice feel. This one's got more of a heavy textural feel, the T-weave stretch. It's got a little bit of a pebbly surface. And then the Surfer stretch and the microfiber stretch, to me, they feel, this one's a little bit maybe softer, but they feel very similar. And then here's another one. This is the Chitosane interlocked ruby wine. Now this is a very techy feeling knit. So this is like a, oh, it's an interlock. So it's got 4-way stretch, and the cross grain is much stretchier. So this is kind of cool. And then what is this one? This one is Breathe Tech, very stretchy. in both directions. So it's probably like a breathable tech fabric. And then this one, now this is from Etsy. This is RFID fabric by the piece La La Land Leather. And basically this feels like paper to me. But she put that in there. It was kind of cool. And then there is one other one. This is a Solar Stretch painted marble fabric. And again, if I can stretch this out, you can see it's got rib. And it's a very cool fabric. So these are from Discovery Fabrics, and I forgot to put the link, but I will put it. Okay. Oh, Polly's asking me about when I say mechanical stretch. So if I say something has mechanical stretch, that means it's not going to stretch an inch. It's less than 10% stretch. So if I tried to stretch it, a 10-inch piece of it, I'd have to use either all my muscles to make it stretch an inch, or it just does not stretch an inch. So a lot of fabrics will have, you know, give. Like, so see this one, for example, see how I can stretch it a little bit, but there's no way I'd be able to stretch that an inch in this direction on a 10-inch piece. So that's mechanical give in the vertical direction, but then and actually, if you look at it here, again, I can't pull that very hard. I'm using all my muscle. So this Surfer Stretch Woven, I would say, is mechanical stretch, not a percentage of stretch. Versus this Ruby Wine Interlock. Watch, I can stretch it, right? So this, I probably can stretch it 10-15% on a 10-inch piece. It's not super stretchy, but I can stretch it. And then if I go in this direction, I can really stretch it. So that's the difference. So if it's got at least 10% stretch, I say it's got 10% or more stretch. And if I can't stretch it 10%, I say it's more of a mechanical stretch. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so I just wanted to share those with you because I just thought that was very nice of you. I mean, nice of Agnes to send those to me. And I'll post pictures of them in the Facebook group later. All right, so now we're going to press our seam allowances. And I'm just going to open my seams and I'm just going to press them flat like this. I'm just going to do each one. This is a scrap from when I cut out, so some of it feels like it's stiff, like it's a it has the starch in it, and then other places is soft. So I feel like this is weird, but it'll be okay. After I finish finishing all the facings, all the edges, I'll wash it. Okay. All right, so now that I've got, part of me was saying, ooh, I should probably test it and make sure it still fits, but I mean, I checked it on paper, so I'm just going to go with it. All right, so now I'm going to get my serger, and we're going to do a happy dance because I'm already in gray thread, so I don't have to change anything here, which is nice. Let me get this going. Okay, so now I am going to use my differential feed to make sure that top edge does not stretch out. So if you saw the post I did about the neckline where I use the differential feed to make sure, or to clean finish my neckline so it was drawn back in from where it stretched out. I'm going to do the same thing to this facing, and you can see it creates kind of a smile, so I know that this is the top side, and I'm going to do it, I'm just going to keep the seam allowances face down because I'm hoping that will help keep them flat. I'm not going to, well, you know what I'm going to do actually? It would really suck if the facings flipped, so I'm going to use a piece of Scotch tape, and I'm just going to tape them down like this. And notice where I'm taping them is not going to get stitched, so then I can just peel it back off because I don't want these seam allowances to flip the other way. So I'm going to put Scotch tape down low where it's not going to get stitched. I don't want to stitch the plastic of the Scotch tape into my hem allowance here. I mean, into my, into the facing, because I don't want it to be stiff. So basically I'm just making sure the Scotch tape is way out of the way. Then I'm going to put it face down. I'm just going to start somewhere. And to start, I'm going to get the fabric under my needles, but I'm also going to take my little screwdriver here, and let me get this up close so you can see what I'm doing. See if I can get a little bit better of a view here. Hold on. I think that's better. Let me just make sure we're super sharp. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my needle threads and I'm going to pull them off to the side a little bit, to the right, and that way it'll allow me to get the fabric right up against the knife. So if I take a stitch and my knife pops up, the edge is right next to the knife and the threads aren't pulling against the edge, making it pucker. So I'm going to put my differential feed on 1.3, just a little bit of differential feed to help ease it in. And let's just stitch along. And I'm going to be really careful not to trim anything off, okay? I'm literally just going to let it skim along. And you can see what's happening. You can see it is trying to gather up a little bit. And I'm just going to go real slow, and I'm going to lift my presser foot up every now and then. And I'm just really trying not to trim anything off. I'm also trying to not pull it, because see, when I pull it, it gets skinnier, right? You want to let it feed in. You don't want to stretch it by holding it back. And also, I'm picking my presser foot up every now and then to let it relax. So that's how I'm finishing this edge. You probably don't see me sew this slowly this very often, but like certain things you have to, if you're trying to be accurate, you got to take your time. All right, I'm coming to the start. All right, so here's my tail. I'm going to cut it off and then I'm going to put the knife down. All right, I cut it off, see? Now I'm going to put the knife down and I'm just going to overlap my start point by about 1/4 inch. And then once I've overlapped, I'm going to pick up my needles, pick up my presser foot, push everything to the back, gently sort of pulling it off of the stitch finger. Then I can chain off without running off the end of the fabric. So that's how I start and stop in the round. And let's use our dangerous Kai scissors, our slippery little suckers. Boop. All right, now let's take a look at this. I don't need my serger anymore, so I'm going to put it away. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now see how I can see that it's not stretched out, and also Happy Dance, every seam allowance stayed put for me. So that makes me happy. And you can see here, we'll figure out which is which once I, you'll see, we'll figure out what I should have marked the side seams here. Well, we will figure it out once I see how it fits on the fabric here. I think it's like this, I think. I think it's going to want to be like this. This could be my guess. All right, so it's not, it might be that. All right, well, that was kind of dumb of me not to mark on one seam allowance which is which. But I can see this is a side seam up, and this is more of a straight. All right, so let's get our shirt here. I'm going to take all my Scotch tapes off. I'm really glad I did that though, because I really didn't want a seam allowance to flip the wrong way. All right, now let's get the shirt over here and let's see. Oh, Polly says great serger advice. Oh, thank you, Polly. All right, let me just put this back down and a little bit higher up so we can see better. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to see if I can figure out which is which. Well, we'll know right away because it's only going to fit one way because the front is wider than the back. Oh, I'm going to have to sew these side seams. Let me just see here. I just want to see. Okay, so my guess is it's going to be, let's see, if I pin this one to a side seam, I'm just going to put a clip here. I just want to see if I'm doing it. I feel like this is going to be the right way. All right, so I'm just going to put a clip here. And I am going to have to finish the bottoms of my side seams, but basically I can line up this with the pin right here that I left. So see how I left the pin? Hey Carol from the UK, welcome, welcome. I'm finishing with a facing here. So I'm going to put some clips. Put a clip here. And then I'm going to put a clip over on my side seam. Yeah, so that is right. I can see that that is right because it's fitting. So then if I turn it around like this, the back will line up with the center back right here. Like that. See, and it's matching pretty nicely. So it matches from here to here. It matches from here to here. I just have to re-sew my boo-boos and then we can put it on. So let me get my sewing machine back over here. Okay. All right, so I'm literally going to just come over here and re-sew my side seams where they came unsewn when I cut it into a shirt tail hem. So I'm literally just gonna sew straight down here. And that side's fixed. Let's do the other side. Okay. All right, now that I sewed that, I can go ahead and pin it on like for real. So I'm going to line up my side seam with my side seam. And I'm going to push the seam allowances that are, my side seam allowances are going to get pressed to the back. So that's going to the back. Let's put a clip there. And then when I sew this, I am going to sew it with the shirt hem face down so the feed dogs will gather up any of the extra hem that might be a little bit stretched out because I did try it on. But I'm going to put one clip between each seam, and I'm going to make sure each seam matches like this. All right, so we're just going to make sure we're good here. Oops. And then let's just pin it here. All right. All right, and then I'm going to sew this facing on. I'm kind of excited. I know I'm going a little bit late. Oh, this is a special one. This yellow clip was one of the things I got when I taught at the University of Kentucky's Volunteer Master Garment construction group. And Jeannie gave everybody a few clips. So every time I use this yellow one, it always warms my heart because I know she gave it to me in my little goodie bag. All right. All right, so now we are going to sew. And I'm going to just start somewhere near a side seam, and I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch like this. So I have about an inch extra, and again I put the hem face down. So I'm just going to sew. My sewing machine has the walking foot feature on, so like a dual feed kind of a thing, which is nice. And I'm just going to go really slow. Now obviously I've pinned this right sides together, so we're going to flip it to the inside. Oh, Diane, if you're still watching, I have all my Wonder Clips face up, just for you. All right, and I'm just going to work my way around. Diane says, haha, I did notice. Miracles never cease, Diane. Oops. We don't want that. Get down. There we go. I caught that just in the nick. All right, I must be getting there. Oops. All right, now this is my side seam right here. I'm making sure that stays to the back. It's going in the opposite direction, so I'm just going to make sure I didn't put Scotch tape there. But I can feel that that agreed. Oh, and there's my start point, so yay. All right, so I'm going to overlap my start point, which is right here. Let's do a quick little back tack. All right. Now, before I do anything else, I am going to open this up and I'm going to understitch, because the understitching is going to help us encourage the facing to stay to the inside of the garment. So I'm going to pull it away as it goes. So I'm going to pull it away like this. And I'm literally just going to go around about 1/8 of an inch. Oh, look, my seams don't match there. Oh, well. All right, and I can also double check. The other thing I didn't think of, but I'm hoping it will be fine, is the fact that I didn't pay attention to all the pleats. I'm hoping they're all laying the right way. So, understitching is a little step that helps keep the facing to the wrong side of your garment. So it's worth the effort and time that it takes to do it. It doesn't take a long time, but it's worth it. Just take your time. So I'm stitching through the seam allowance and the facing, both seam allowances and the facing. This pleat looks a little crabby, but it is laying the right way. See, right here. We'll press that down. All right, let's see. I have a little boo-boo here. Just pick this out. When I sewed my side seam, I think I sewed in too deep. I'm going to have to go in and fix that, but I just released those stitches. All right. Oh, look at now that matches perfectly. So I get a gold star for that side. Of course, one side would match perfectly with the side seam and the others wouldn't. Why would I get them both to match? All right. Ooh, this one can matches too. That must be my center back matches. Oh, wait a minute. All right, see, one thing you have to pay attention to, see, I felt it flip, so you have to be careful and make sure your hem allowance is staying on the side that you're understitching, or you're going to stitch right off of it. So I have to just back up a little bit here. Silly me. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let me get these seam allowances to lay flat. Little stinkers. We'll start right here. Okay. I think because it was bulky there with the center back seam, it flipped the other way. All right, we're almost done. This is exciting. All right, here we are. All right, now we're going to press this up, and oh yes, I love a good seam ripper, and I have several favorites. All right, so I'm going to show you something. I'm just going to put this down for a minute. All right, let me get my pressing thing here, and we're going to press that up. And then I'm going to do a sample. I don't know, I think after I press this up and show you what matches, I think I'll call it a day for our live stream. But I'm considering using a wing needle, and I'll show you what a wing needle looks like, to stitch the hem, because it'll make holes, and I'll use like a decorative stitch. I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, so basically, let's see if we can press this up nice and neat. And I think you can see that the understitching is making it like turn to the inside. So if you can see here, the understitching itself kind of gets the edge to do what you want. So that's why taking your time and doing a little understitching is always a good idea. See, ooh, so I almost thought I dropped my hair. But you can see the shirt tail hem here. That's the side seam. And then let's go this way. Okay. All right, so just finish pressing this. See, this is working out perfectly. I'm so excited. Everything matches up, and the top edge of the facing's laying nice and flat. You know, so we took the time to use the differential feed to make sure it didn't stretch out. So I am pretty pleased. Let's look at the right side. Oh my gosh, the wind is whipping up outside. All right, so let's see how this looks now from the right side. Let's see, I think this is going to make a nice, look at how nice that is. Let me let this to lay flat. Oh, I don't want it to, oh, you know what? Maybe it did stretch out a little bit. Let me see if I can steam it. This is called the magic of pressing. Oh, I think I'm going to be pleased with this. think I'm going to be pleased. Now, part of this fabric is starch still, so some of it is stiff and some of it isn't. So I can't wait to get it, you know, sew it and put it back in the wash. But I feel pretty pleased. All right, so let's take a better look at this. Okay, so see? Yeah, I think that's a nice, clean looking hem. Yeah, I think that's going to be nice. I'm excited. So yay. Let me show you what I'm thinking about doing. Oh, you know, before I do that, I'm just going to stick some pins all the way around. But I'm going to go this way. All right, I'm just going to stick pins in here so the hem doesn't flop around. I'm literally just going to put a pin every few inches just to hold it in place for me. Okay. Oh, if you can hear that, that's my phone. My daughter's calling me. I'll call her back when we're done. Okay. All right. I'm just putting some pins in here just so it doesn't flop around since I took the time to press it. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll put it on here so you can see how it looks. I'm a sweaty ball of mess, so I am not going to try to shove this over my body in my current state, but I am going to show you how it looks on the dress form. See? All right, can you see it? So there's my hem. I think I'm pretty pleased with my hem. All right, and then I just want to show you what a wing needle is. And then we're going to call it for today. I used to do a bunch of wing needle work when I used to work at Manchester Sewing. We did a lot of heirloom sewing because we actually had, if any of you are heirloom sewing fans, you might be familiar with Martha Poulin. Well, back in the day, she was like the queen of heirloom sewing. And let me just put this over here so I can bring this here closer so you can see it. So here's my girl. There. See, isn't that nice? I think I'm pretty happy with that. So a wing needle, let me just find one here. All right, let's see. This is my messy my messy needle box, but I know I have some twin needles. I mean, I know I have some wing needles in here. All right, so this is what a wing needle looks like. And if I take it out and show you, you can see it's got a flange. So see how it's got a flange on it that's pretty wide. And what that does is it cuts a hole in fabrics like linen, and it does, so what this would be called is like a hem stitched. So if you've got linens that have hems and they have little holes where the thread is, a wing needle made it. So I'm going to play with this, and then next Friday I will give you a complete demo on how to use a wing needle. And I mean, just to illustrate here, I want to play with the different stitches, but just to show you, like if I make a hole, oh, it probably won't show, but it will make, it's going to make little holes where the thread pulls on it. So of course it's not doing it because there's no thread. But next week I'll show you how to use a wing needle, and I'm going to consider doing some wing needle work when I finish the neckline and the hem and the armholes. So I just wanted to show you what it looked like. And then again, next week, I will show you how to use it next Friday. So that's what we'll do. Next FabFit Friday is going to be Wing Needle Friday. I'm going to show you how to do it. And they come in different sizes. This is 116. I also have 119, which is a little bit bigger. So that's what the packaging looks like. And of course, this is a vintage wing needle. I've had this in my box forever, but that's what it looks like. Oh, you haven't used your wing needles? Diane, dust off your wing needles. We're going to use them next week. I'm excited. So that's what I'm going to share with you next week. So that is my little FabFit Friday today. I'm going to batten my hatches down so I can be ready for Debbie to roll through tonight. And then we're supposed to have a nice weekend. So I'm super excited. So very happy with my hem. And thank you guys so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it that you take time out of your day or your week to watch, you know, hang out with me. So I want to thank everybody. Oh, Martha Ann says, wow, very pretty. My interfacing never looks that good. Oh, well, no, I didn't use any interfacing though. It's a, interfacing, facing, not interfacing, facing. I know what you mean. But again, I didn't interface the linen because I want it to be soft and flexible like the garment. That's why I didn't put any actual interfacing in there. And it just takes practice, you know, so just, you know, try facing the edges of some, you know, curved edges just on scraps, and you'd be surprised how fast, you know, you'll get better at it, because everything is practice and everything is taking your time. So take your time and then, you know, practice. And I will show you guys the finished result next week, and I'll show you how to use a wing needle next week. So that's what we're going to do. So I hope everybody is staying safe and sound. I hope you're enjoying your summer. I hope you're getting some sewing done. And I just want to thank you all for watching, and have a lovely weekend. I'll see you next week. All right. Bye.